Iain, you're one of 8 people that were involved in that game with Clonmel Commercials, back in 2015. Is that a bit of unfinished business with them this time?
No, not really, I suppose. I think from looking at the Clonmel team, they have about the same, about 8 or 9 lads that played that day. I suppose it just probably brings up a bit of regret. It's probably one we left behind us that day. Maybe a lack of experience. It was our first game in Munster Club. We probably should have held out, but unfortunately we didn't. And I suppose what Clonmel went on to achieve then, I suppose, makes it hurt a bit more, I suppose.
How do you feel about the game being switched from Clonmel to Thurles? I had the narrative going around for the last week that that Clonmel would love the wide open spaces of Thurles in contrast with their own pitch. Yeah,
like we played in Clonmel in 15, and it'll be a lot heavier than Thurles, I suppose. Look, Thurles is one of the best surfaces in Ireland. I suppose from our own point of view, we feel that'll definitely suit us as well. Like, we'd be a strong running team. There'll definitely be a lot. I suppose it won't be as heavy on the feet as the semi-final and the final. So while Clonmel probably think it'll suit them, we probably think it'll suit us. So it'll all be decided on Sunday.
Jimmy, got a win in the Munster Championship last year, and then fell at the semi-final stage to the Kerry champions. How much of an advantage is that going into this year's semi-final?
Sure, Matt, to be fair about it, it gives us, I suppose, that small bit more experience facing a team like Austin Stacks last year, and in our has benefited the lads no end. So look, we know what we're facing. So look, it's it'll be the same as the semi-final was last year. No different in that respect. But it has, it's given us that year more experience, Matt, to be honest with you. So you have to take the positives out of that. Mightn't have been too happy with the result last year, but anyhow.
Jimmy, if you were to get ideal and perfect games going into this game, you certainly got them in the semi-final and the final of the Limerick Championship. Real tough tests from Monaghan and from Adair.
Correct. And I suppose, Matt, we have benefited. Like, one thing you would have to say about the boys, they're mentally very strong in terms of seeing out, I suppose, battles like that. We've done it in the last 2 years. So I mean, mentally, the lads, I would consider to be very, very strong in that regard. When it gets down to the nitty-gritty of it, they can see it out, you know what I mean, and they can dig in and fight their way out of it. So look, I mean, Monaghan in the semi-final in both years was a testing experience, and it was down to the last seconds of both games, and likewise with Adair this year. So look, I mean, there is huge benefit to be got out of match challenges like that. But as Iain says, like, this game might be slightly different in terms of running, which we're able to do as well.
Jimmy, last one from me. You're reporting a clean bill of health, and is there any possibility we'll see AJ O'Connor on Sunday?
But I fly him back from Australia, mate.
Otherwise, a clean bill of health?
Oh yeah, we're fine at the moment, Matt. Just a few lads were playing different sports over the weekend. A few lads were playing hurling, so we'll know what way they are tonight. But at this moment in time, we've a clean bill of health, Matt.
Good. That's it from me.
Thanks, Matt.
How are you, lads? Luke here from Live 95.
Luke, how are you?
How's it going?
How are you doing? Iain, just firstly to yourself, I know in the build-up to the game, all the talk was you're not thinking about back-to-back county titles. You didn't want to kind of talk about it, and it's one game at a time. And look, I know that's not disingenuous, but getting that over the line and getting the back-to-back, does it put you on better footing going into a Munster campaign, do you think? And was it maybe a monkey off the back that you managed to do that and back it up?
I wouldn't say it's a monkey off the back. I suppose it just benefits us going forward in terms of Munster Club. You look at the kind of the stronger teams that are competing for Club All-Irelands, your Ballygunners, Ballyhales in the hurling, like they're repeatedly winning counties, and I suppose it gives you that experience for the provincial club championship. So in previous years there was kind of a gap between our Munster championship campaigns, whereas this year we have last year to, I suppose, base our experience and trainings and learnings off. So it's a benefit from that point of view. Back to back is probably something we look at many years down the line.
From 2015 to that last time you met to 2022 now, how much has club football changed in the last 7 years in terms of even the professionalism of it? I know a lot of players say it's gotten a lot more demanding over the past, we'll say, 7-10 years.
Yeah, it has, I suppose, and styles of football have kind of changed. I suppose in 2015 we were kind of coming out of that defensive era that was set by Donegal, and we were kind of, I suppose, influenced by that with our coach Anton McFadden at the time. And look, that was successful at the time, but football has probably gone a bit more expensive. You see that with Kerry this year. Football is always developing. In terms of the athleticism, I suppose, strength and conditioning, it kind of comes from the intercounty scene. It builds its way into the club, and you see all the top club teams now are physically built like intercounty teams.
Jimmy, sorry I didn't catch the start of Matt speaking to you there, but were you at Páirc Uí Chaoimh taking in the quarter-final tie?
No, I wasn't, Luke. I did see it, no, to be fair about it. I did see it, but I was actually away that weekend, Luke.
What would you have learned from that, from watching it?
I sure, look, there was a lot you learned from it. I mean, they're a serious outfit, Clonmel Commercials. They run fierce hard at you, you know, and give them an opportunity and they'll take it. You know, so I mean, look, we're very much aware of what they're like. Look, we've seen it in plenty. The lads saw it up close in person in 15. You know, and surely against Nemo Rangers, like, I mean, the bookies would tell you they were Nemo were money on, and that Clonmel Commercials were nearly 4-5-1 outsiders, like, but as it turned around, like, they really turned it on its head in terms of that. I'm not so sure people in the footballing world would have considered the odds that realistic at the time. Like, this Clonmel team are knocking around for a while now. I think they have an average age of 25, Luke. Like, they are a serious outfit, like, but that's not to say we're not either, like.
Thanks a million, lads.
Hey lads, Jack Neville here.
Jack, how are you?
Good. I'll start with you there. You kind of mentioned that you're kind of a running side, and Clonmel are pretty much the same. Should make for interesting battle probably around the middle third. That, you know, if you can get a run on the middle third, it'd be hard to stop both teams.
That's to me, Jack, is it?
Whoever wants it.
Yeah, but to me.
Yeah, look, he will. You know what I mean? So I mean, look, he will, you're right. Like, a lot of the battles are won in the middle third now. And it's an area, you know, that we have worked hard on. You know, so I mean, we'd be happy enough in that regard. You know, so I mean, look, it is extremely, you're talking about the real engine of football at the moment, like your half-backs, your half-forwards, getting up and down. You know, the work rate they're putting in is phenomenal. I think you could be running nearly 10 kilometres in a match at this stage. You're playing in positions.
Yeah, and I suppose you again, Jimmy, probably weren't at your best against Monaleen or Adair, but you're kind of grinding out victories, and with the weather the way it is and pitch is heavy, it's important that you have that in the arsenal when you come up against teams like Clonmel.
Yeah, I mean, it is extremely important, Jack. You know what I mean? You have to dig in and you have to dig deep. And that's both mentally and physically. It's as much mental as physical, getting into them, you know, and winning them battles. So I mean, look, we are extremely happy with where we are. Were we at our best? I mean, that's questionable with the way the teams, you know, that we were up against. I mean, you're talking about two serious outfits in Limerick, Monaleen and Adair. Like, so I mean, to be fair to them, saying that we weren't at our best is probably a bit unfair to them in that regard. But at the end of the day, we still got over the line, which is important.
Ian, you did the back-to-back, obviously, but when you look through the side, a lot of new faces there, like Todd and Rowan and them. It must be very refreshing to have young lads coming through and making their stamp on the team straight away.
Definitely, like, and Rowan and Todd would have been there, I suppose, the last few years, and I suppose have just built up that experience and have trained hard and have pushed lads through form or injuries, kind of got their chance and have nailed it down. I suppose it's refreshing, and I suppose it'll enhance the longevity of the club competing at the top, that we have young fellas coming in and they see the standards that I suppose the more experienced players have set, and hopefully that will continue now for many years.
And finally, for me, you mentioned experience there. I suppose 7 years ago, it would have been for you all about getting over the line in Limerick. It'd have been a long time for you. Whereas now you're kind of seasoned in Munster. You know, you will take a lot from that experience you've built up over the last 7 or 8 years in Limerick.
Yeah, like I mentioned there, I think to Luke, you see that the teams that are competing at the top for provincial levels are the teams that are consistently winning their counties. It's very rare to see a team kind of win a first county in a long period of time and then go on to provincial honours. So I suppose it's just the style of football. I suppose this time of year it's different to playing your county finals and stuff. It's a lot tougher, and it's always a real dogfight, and probably comes down to experience a lot of the time.
Right, thanks, lads.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.